Hello everyone and welcome to yet another Battlefield 1 video. I'm D-Real or Greenleaf, a Greenleaf as I'm known on console, and bringing you this follow-up video to my first part, Battlefield 1. It's mostly been an overall review of the new changes in the game, things that have happened since the beta, new things in the game, analyzing classes. You can click right here in the corner if you missed that video. But this being the second part, I wanted to quickly talk about behemoths and map design, their influences in the game, and what's changed and what's new in this battlefield that I like as opposed to the other battlefields. Let's start off with the map design. They did a great job with every one of these maps. They play fantastically. Except for Empire's Edge. It's a really weird map with a huge castle, a position off the coast on an island behind it, and randomly spread out villages around this mountainous terrain. I guess the best way to describe it is if you remember the one map off of Naval Strike from Battlefield 4 that had the fortress with the cannons on it. This map is basically like it, except not as nice the way it plays, in my opinion. Especially when the fog rolls through. Oh my god. You never know when it'll hit, and the match can start out foggy or it can get foggy as the game goes. A part of this brand new weather type Levolution thing they have going on where there can be a storm going on in the game and it will actually affect your bullets. And when your bullets fly out a certain distance, you may notice them curve. I swear I've noticed it with my tank shells doing the same. If I try to fire them over a long distance, they'll actually fall a little to the side, but more often than not, it's foggy than it is rainy on the game. But I digress. Overall, the maps are well designed for game modes like Conquest and Rush. And now that I think about it, I haven't actually seen something like this done with the Battlefield since, well, Bad Company, which is really great. Also, the debris is a thing again. Falling debris is a thing again. If you remember in Battlefield 3, if you shot the front of a building with an explosive, tank shell, grenade launcher, whatever, debris would fall and it would kill anyone below it. Well, on here, it does the same exact thing, except they take fall damage over time. So if they're lower health, you have a greater chance of instantly killing them, as opposed to them being 100% health. They have a chance to get out of the way before the debris can fully kill them. And if someone is on a roof or like right below the roof in a building up in the attic, and the roof of it is blown up, the roof will collapse onto the next floor, either severely wounding them or killing them, as I just explained. The buildings and the walls will crumble on top of a player and kill them. It's very satisfying once you manage to acquire one of these kills. You just start getting a bunch of hit markers and enemy hit for this amount of points, and next thing you know, you end up with a very satisfying kill. Once you get a mortar, it's even more fun. Or you get it with a bomber, drop bombs on the building, and you get the debris falling in, and it just takes someone out. It feels so nice, man. It feels so nice. So we have map design like Bad Company and destruction almost to the extent of that game with a combination of upgraded Battlefield 3 building physics. It just sounds like a recipe for chaos. But wait, there's more. Combined with an intense weather effect like the fog or rain, as I mentioned earlier, and things get really crazy. Fighting in the fog is a nightmare because you can't see 20 meters in front of you, and accidentally bumping into a tank is bound to happen to you at some point. While it's not as scary as trying to fly, when the fog hits you out of nowhere, every time I try to fly in the fog, I've crashed. Simply because on my turns, I could never tell how far from the ground I was until I started using the positions as a reference to how high I was flying. And even then, it was still disorienting trying to work around it. And I swear to you that at the height, I swear to you, I was at the height limit. But I just somehow always managed to crash into the ground. So, it's whatever. Behemoths. If you remember in Battlefield 3 Armored Kill expansion when the AC-130 was introduced and it was like a giant pre-patch USAS frag round in the sky with tank shells, Well, behemoths are kind of like that, except better. You normally won't see them in a match unless the other team is losing by about 100 tickets. If the match is close, then neither side will receive it. In operations, though, the attacking team will receive it upon losing their first round. The defensive team can also receive it should they lose on the first map without taking out a single one of the attacking team's battalions. The airship has a ton of power. It will brutally assault any and everything on the ground, so best thing to do is to knock it out as fast as possible
By locating the anti-air guns on the ground. You'll normally find these on the positions such as the base flags for both sides on St. Quin Scar, or position Butter on Monte Gras. Butter and Duff on Monte Gras. Use your attack and fighter planes to hit it. Usually the assault's anti-tank rifle can hit it and do some damage to it, or the anti-air package for the mobile artillery truck. And when you hit it, don't just hit it, but try to aim for the gunner spots, which can normally be located near the front and back of the ship, or aim for the engines, which are at the center belly of the plane. They're very close to each other and have an ovular shape. There are also two guns on the top of the big balloon, but you don't need to worry about them. They're mostly for taking out other planes flying around trying to take out the ship. But the ones on the bottom of the airship are the ones you need to be worried about. The second you see them shooting from one of those guns, you might want to start aiming at that one and take it out as quickly as possible so you can get back to destroying the airship. The second, and thankfully the last behemoth, is the armored train. It's not as big of a problem as the airship unless you're on the Forest of Argonne. From what I've noticed during my time playing as it, the only worthwhile seats, there are only 2 of 4 worthwhile seats on this train. The driver's seat being the most effective that can shoot an artillery shell that follows a third person camera, similar to the mortar. When the shell crashes, it does a huge amount of area of effect damage, similar to the cruise missile off of Battlefield 4, but not as devastating with getting you through walls and stuff like that. But on most maps, I find that the train is too far out of reach and I never have to worry about it, so I just avoid it and I usually come out alright. I actually don't believe in my 24 hours of playing that I was killed by it more than once. Because it's easy to avoid unless, again, you're on the Forest of Oregon. Its presence is barely ever known. For example, on the maps such as Suez Canal, it's so far out in the desert that it really can't contribute at all. And the tickets go away, the tickets just tick through so fast on that map that the train can't really do anything even if it tried. The only useful seat on there on that map is the driver's seat who can fire the shells into the town. And the towns are so small and clustered that he's bound to hit somebody if they're all crowded over the position. But I think that this vehicle could actually use a buff. There are only 4 seats on it, but in total only 2 of the seats are even decent. The train still has a ton of health, but it can easily be taken out if focused properly. Not as easy as the airship, but can still be taken out nonetheless. Anyway, guys, that's all I have for you today.
Hope you enjoyed and learned something, and I'll see you in the next one.